Here we go. This is it. This is episode 276 of No Laugh Track Podcast. This is Justin Severson, the host. Circle of Heat let us play the music there at the beginning. As always, thanks, guys. With me this week, I think it's 5 times, Sean. It's Sean Patton. Yeah. Or
Damn.
4. 4 or 5.
I was trying to think of what the 276, and I just had like a flashback.
What does it mean to you?
I know. Well, I have memories of you being like, this is episode 207, and then this is episode 188, and then, because I think the first one I did was episode 87, and I don't know that for sure, but.
No.
Excuse me.
The first one you did that I will never go back to, because I listen back to them sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Especially when someone's going to come back. Like, I listened to our last one in the last 24 hours. I listened to it again.
Holy
the first one we did together was episode 4.
Oh, seriously?
I won't go back to that. I can't imagine. I don't even know what
Jesus.
I'm afraid to go back to listen to that. I assume you don't go back listening to your old first month of stand-up.
No, I mean, even though if I did, I'm confident there'd be something in there. If, like, maybe just like a word I could use, like, oh, wow, juxtapose. I don't use that word enough anymore, but the rest of that bit, trash. I'm like straight up like, there was a show in New York where you have to, I forget what it's called, but it's a really good show run by 2 fantastic comedians named Will Miles and Julia Rossi. And you have to bring in your earliest recorded set, visual recording set.
Oh, okay.
And audio, and audio as well. But your first like filmed set and play it. You perform first. You do 10 minutes. And then you play that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So the audience sees you good now.
Yeah.
And you have to have been doing stand-up. I think they say they want you to have been doing stand-up for at least 7 years.
Yeah. In that case, it's not like 2 months prior. I see no improvement.
Exactly. Because there are definitely some wonder kids out there who are like 3 years into stand-up and just great already. They figured it out. But like, or really good, But I like how that's my like veteran's ego coming in right at the last minute. Like they're really good.
I like that. Yeah.
At 3 years. No, there are a couple prodigies, but I was like, sure, I'll do that. And then I got a hold of a set that was recorded by me on VHS-C. Okay,
What is that?
that was the mini VHS.
Oh, for like the
Yeah.
So you had to.
When I started, that's what you shot a camera. What you shot was onto a VHS-C tape. That was like the most modern version of technology then. So that that dates it for you. Let's just say George W. Bush was still in office.
right.
George W. Bush, not the OG Bush. But and I watched it because I asked. I just like texted my mom. I was like, "Is there any way? Are there any tapes?" And she's like, "No, actually, yeah. There's a box here, shit, and there are a few cassette. You want me just mail?" I was like, "Yeah, don't watch any of them. I'm not sure what's on there." And I watched it, and I backed out of the show. I was just like, "I can't."
No kidding.
I was like, I couldn't. There's no way I could be in the same building as this playing.
Is this airing
for people?
Wow.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Wow.
I was so fucking bad.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't think I was bad then, but I was just
Right.
I was so, I could boil it down. I was so insecure about my writing that I was just pure energy on stage.
Yeah.
So like everything, like standing still or just being there like this and doing a bit, couldn't do it. Had to be bouncing around, animating every single fucking syllable.
Yeah.
Just big, running around, a lot of physical, a lot of act out, a lot of big, not at all for a second being just me.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I can't. And to be honest, the material wasn't horrific, but it was definitely shit that I was like, oh, God, I really wrote about that back then.
What was so that was something that was recorded like just by you,
that was
to
something
hold on to.
I remember I shot that because this was, the year was 2003. I'd been doing comedy for like a year at that point.
Okay.
And the idea of like festivals and YouTube didn't exist yet.
Sure.
And the idea of like festivals and things like that were brand fucking spanking new. Like, yeah, there'd been Montreal and like Aspen had been around.
Yeah.
But that was it. And other comedians just be like, yeah, man, you should have a tape to just like to send.
Yeah.
To who knows? To bookers. Who knows? I was like, yeah, you're right.
I'm ready.
So that's why I made it. It was like a 5-minute set at an open mic, and it was just like, Jesus Christ.
Do you remember sending it to anybody?
I do. And I couldn't remember who exactly because I never heard back from them. I guarantee that. Like, it was just, oh, God. But it was... Comedy also wasn't popular back then. I know how that sounds, like, but it's true. Like,
I know what you're saying.
No one gave a shit about comedy till like I would say this current comedy boom didn't really start until 2008, 2010, somewhere in that window. Mm-hmm. You know, but 2003, no one gave a shit.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Stand up was like you were like, oh, that you do stand up? Like it was something people weren't savvy on, really. It was like, oh, do you like I remember back then it was like, do you like Bill Hicks, who'd been dead for 11 years? It was like Bill Hicks was like on the edge, man. I was like, yeah, he's so on the edge. He's been dead for
How about
over
a current
decade.
reference?
Yeah, but back then it was like, if you were into comedy, it was like kind of special when you meet people who were like, I'm into comedy. Because it was also like, the internet was in its baby stages, which, you know, this will date this podcast. Unfortunately, today they fucking repealed net neutrality. So,
No, they did.
You know, it might go back to that. But, you know, it was hard to, like, find good comedy. You had to watch Comedy Central, and that was your only.
You know,
HBO.
you're absolutely right. Because
Yeah.
I can go back through, I'm just going in my head through my collection of, you know, like out CDs and tapes and albums. It was mid 80s and then skipped about 15 years.
Yeah.
And then got back into it.
Yeah. No one. But so much great comedy came because of that. Because, you know, for that 15 years, you know, comics were just doing it for the love. And I'm sure, you know, if you were good, you made money and you had a career.
Yeah.
But it was a career where you were playing to, like, either, you know, fucking, not Groupon, because that didn't exist back then, but like big group, but you know what I mean? Like big group dates.
Yeah.
Or like
the Christmas party.
Yeah. Or like hardcore underground, like savvy, you know, hip audiences,
Yeah.
like jazz audiences almost, I imagine. Which sounds pretty. There's that show right now. God damn it, and I can't remember the name of it. The Marvelous Mrs. The Marvelous Mrs. Something. I can't think of what it's called. My girlfriend watches it. It's
What's it on?
It's on one of the streaming services. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna say Amazon.
Sure.
And it just came out, and it's really I've heard it. I've listened to it while she's watching it, and it's amazing. It's set in the 50s, and it's about a woman who like starts doing stand-up.
Oh, stand-up. I read a little thing about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's really good, and it's really interesting too because they had what they call the party circuit, which was a thing back then, and I suppose probably still happens today, where people hire comedians to come to the party and just act as like they're a party guest, and at some point during the party, just take over the party, riffing and telling jokes and just being like, I mean, like I think the guests know there's going to be a comedian.
Okay.
So when it starts happening, it's not like, who's this fucking asshole? It's like, oh, this must be the comedian, and you just do bits with people, and you.
That would be great if their false starts all night. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a one-person murder mystery dinner.
Yeah.
Only without the murder or the mystery or the dinner. Just a one-person show. But where you're acting as a guest first. Which is kind of fucking fun. Which, if that still exists, Todd Glass would be like the king of that circuit.
You're right.
Todd Glass would be the fucking Kevin Hart of that. Like, that would be his arenas.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
He doesn't need a stage.
Yeah, just put him in there and, oh, that guy's here. And then next thing you know... 3 hours of just Todd Glass bits. I'd go to every single one of those parties.
That'd be great.
I'd be like a deadhead. I'd be a glass head, a glass
head.
jaw. I'd be a glass jaw. I'm a glass jaw. I laugh easy. Todd, if you're listening to this, you know, hit me up, buddy.
I'm sure, you know, he's been on this podcast, so I'm sure ever since then he's been a subscriber.
Exactly. You know, Todd, you know what they say about Todd Glass? Everything he does, he then becomes a fan of.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's
Everybody
everything.
knows that.
Nobody realizes that.
Hey, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. What was your first TV appearance? Like, that people actually? Well, just your favorite.
Oh, my
your
first
TV appearance.
Live at Gotham, Comedy Central.
Oh,
It aired in 2009.
okay.
Yeah, so
Like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15.
No, you did. We all did 10, and they cut it down to like 5.
Okay.
And it was. I'm trying to think who else was on my episode specifically. Oh, Tiffany Haddish.
Oh.
Tiffany,
who?
yeah,
Never heard of
exactly,
her.
exactly.
You mean who's had the biggest
Yeah,
year
the
of
biggest,
anybody?
yeah,
just about.
Who's just blasted off into the stratosphere, which
Yeah.
is great for her. She's great. Yeah, she was on it. My specific episode. I can't remember. Dave Waite.
Okay.
He was on as well. Fuck, who else? It was 5 of us. I can't remember the other 2. Sorry, other 2. Whoever you are.
I last night before I went, one last thing I had on TV was Seth Meyers' show, and then one of his guests was Judd Apatow, who's back doing stand up again.
Oh yeah, you see him around.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
have you?
Yeah, I said. When was it? Monday night or Sunday night at the Cellar.
Oh really?
Like a couple days ago, he was there.
Oh no kidding.
Hanging out. He went up and did a set. Yeah.
He always comes to mind when people start talking about, I was part of that show and here's the other people, because like Andy Kindler did like that Young Comedians thing, HBO years ago, and Judd was one of the performers on that.
I mean, Judd, that dude's been around. Like that guy was a producer on the Ben Stiller show.
Yeah.
Like 93 or something.
I have that. I have that on DVD.
Yeah. No, I do too.
Do you really?
And that is. The show, for what it was at the time, the sketches were really good.
They're pretty funny.
What was really fucking ridiculous about that show, if you watch it now, if anyone's listening, it's only one season.
Yeah.
It's like 13 episodes. I like how I say if anyone's listening. If anyone at all is hearing this, please send food and water to Acme Comedy Club. No, the Ben Stiller show, it's only 13 episodes, but they shot it in a way to where the public, like in the idea that the public had no clue how editing worked. And to be fair, probably far less than the people do today. But do you remember that? Because like there were little interstitials in between the bits.
Oh yeah.
And it would be like Ben Stiller and like Andy Dick ordering a hot dog, and Ben being like, "This is Andy, one of the cast members," and Andy Dick being like a normal person, before fame warped him into a fucking cartoon character.
Yeah.
And and they'd be talking, and Ben would be like, "So we got a fun clip to show you," and Andy Dick would be like, "Oh no, we're going to show a different clip, actually, Ben." And Ben would be like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Just roll the clip," and then it would cut to like Ben Stiller. I think this is almost verbatim, like Ben Stiller like singing into like a hairbrush in a public bathroom.
Yeah.
Something in the early '90s was hilariously embarrassing, and then it would cut back to Andy laughing and Ben being like, "What? You just showed that?" As if all TV were live in the moment. And
I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, completely linear. And they did it over and over again. But like that show, I mean, you had Andy Dick, Janine Garofalo, fucking Bob Odenkirk.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And Judd Apatow was like the producer. It's crazy. But that was also at a time where people were starting to not give a shit. Or the big comedy was ceasing to be popular around that.
What was?
Comedy.
Oh, yeah.
That was like after the bus. That was when, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about how the week's been going so far. It's Thursday, so you got 2 shows so far, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, it's as always, this club's the best.
I was here last night, by the way.
Were you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good show. It was a fun one.
Yeah.
I think I ran the light, which is fine on Thursday.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday.
What do you care?
I like to care. I mean, I like to. I feel like no matter how, the idea of like the Chappelle 4-hour set type thing, or like anyone doing that length of, I don't care how fucking great of a comedian you are. I could be the greatest fucking comedian in the world. At a certain point, you got to factor in like audience fatigue.
Yeah.
Comes in to play, and something, you have an amazing 45-minute to hour set that will immediately be forgotten if you go and hit the fucking 2-hour mark and the past 45 minutes have been you just meandering through like bit, you know what I mean? Like just up there, like, crowd work, everything gets boring at 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Except for like, movies where not all movies stay that interesting when they're that long.
For
you
sure.
know what I mean? Like I feel like if you expect your audience to have respect for you as a performer, have respect for them as an audience, and like give them what they fucking came to see on your terms, which I do, but don't fucking hold them hostage for Christ's sake.
For people that like for you, when is the light coming on to give you what?
When I'm headlining,
what should be going in your head? What should be going off in your head when you see the light? That I have 5 more minutes. That I should have stopped a minute ago.
I tell them to give me, when I'm headlining, I tell them to give me a light at 40 minutes.
Okay.
That way, if it's like a fucking weird, if it's not my favorite headlining set, only got 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Or if it's a great and it's an awesome set and everything's going well, at most I'll hit an hour.
Yeah.
But I at that point I'm like, it's not. I won't push it over an hour.
Okay.
Like that's just because I've seen that and I've been witness to that. I've been witness to comedians having like a fucking amazing 45-minute just knock down, drag out, fucking put the belt on it. That set was amazing, but they go to like an hour and 15.
Yeah.
And that last 15 minutes is just brutal, and they've earned everyone's sort of like attention. So people are waiting it out, but people are now sitting back. Arms are crossing. You see heads start to tilt to one side or the other.
Yeah.
These people are fucking tired. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
These people start walking out, and then it's like, what are you doing? Why? And I get it. I've been in that situation where it's like, I just want to keep on performing. And it's like, well, then do it. We'll go to the next set.
Yeah. Hey, I want you, if you could repeat what you were saying right before we started recording. We were looking out. We're at the club here. Just us, empty seats.
Yeah.
What were you saying about the setup of the club here?
The setup of the club here, very few other clubs. In fact, no other clubs I can think of do like this, where it's just seats. Just no the tables are all tiny little half tables that you couldn't, like 2 people couldn't eat food on.
No, they're literally just a little bit bigger than the menu, the drink menu that comes around.
I would call these espresso tables.
There you go.
I would call these tea tables. They're little. But all the chairs are facing forward.
Yep.
You're not facing each other. You're not. I don't know why so many clubs still do like the long cafeteria style table bullshit. That's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It's just because the moment. That's another thing. Respect for the audience. Like, they're going to be sitting there for a minimum of 90 minutes for the whole show.
Yeah.
Like, and if you've got to sit with your head craned to one side or the other because of the way because you're sitting at a table facing the other people, and then you got to sit with your head craned. Even if you move your chairs, then you're just it's just not comfortable. Like, this is excuse me, this is very comfortable. Like, you can tell the audience is like settled in, and like focused, and it helps. That's why this club's the best.
I went to the Comedy Cellar. I've been there once, and it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
Did the tables still fade? I remember being so excited to go there, and it was a great experience. But where I was sat, it was like I had to turn 45 degrees to look at the stage.
They still have that. Like one of the great things about the Cellar is that I guarantee, since you've gone, nothing's changed.
Okay.
And one of the worst things about the Cellar is I guarantee that since you've gone, nothing's changed. So it's like, I mean, the best, and seriously, I mean that. Like, that's some of the, it's awesome because, it's fucking, they adhere to the principle of, like, put good shit on that stage. And, of course, big stars are going to drop in because it's packed with fans. And it's a great, small, intimate room. And they just police the audience, and you go on stage and you've got that 140 people, but they're crammed in that tiny room, and you've got their attention. It's awesome. But at the same time, it's like, well, but what if you got some of these tables out of here and just sat people facing forward and fit 20 more people in here, and How
often do you do shows at a club where people can eat during the performance?
Most clubs.
Really?
I'd say 90%. 95% of comedy clubs.
It's that many?
Yeah, easily.
Really?
Easily. I can only think of 2 comedy clubs that don't serve food in the showroom. This club and Comedy on State in Madison.
Yeah. Which
coincidentally, that's like my 1-2 right there. Those are my 2 favorite clubs.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
But like, I'd say 95% of comedy clubs still serve food.
No kidding.
Just right there in the goddamn. It's such a disheartening moment, right?
Yeah, how do you get around somebody's fork?
Buddy.
Like, I got to get that last piece of lettuce.
I mean, you should start asking this question on every podcast. Like, I don't have, but I can't think of what. I'll describe it for you.
Okay.
And you can think of the segment title.
Okay.
But like, there's one of these moments that I hate so much in a club is, as a comic, you take club dates sometimes that you go into it slightly with your guard up.
Okay.
The club has a reputation, or you've done it before. You just know it's not gonna. You're gonna work a little bit. It's not gonna 100% be you at your freest.
Mm-hmm.
The case in point, most of the improvs, which is probably the last major comedy club chain left in the U.S.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe 25 of them in the U.S. I only do maybe 10 of those because a lot of them are fucking garbage.
Okay.
A lot of them, it's like, what did you want to happen here? Do you want comedy or do you want it to be a restaurant? Some of those, some improvs, it's like, why don't you just play clips? Or play or put fucking a Martin Lawrence stand-up special on a big screen and let the people eat and talk amongst themselves while they watch the fucking special.
That bad.
It's like, yeah, why do you even want a live human being to get up there with their craft and their art form to share with these fucking Neanderthals who have no interest in anything outside of their very tiny, very certain comfort zone, Mm-hmm. But that being said, there are some great ones as well. There are some that are really good. But sometimes you're doing these improvs, and I don't want to just throw just the improvs under the bus, but they know. That comedy club chain knows. It's got some improvs, like the Tampa, Florida improv, which is a fucking shithole, a shithole nightmare, awful club. And I feel sorry for everyone who works there because they're all really nice, friendly, awesome people. But they're forced to uphold this corporate fucking mandate that doesn't allow that club to get better. And then there are improvs like the Addison Improv in Dallas, Texas, in the neighborhood of Addison, which is an exceptional comedy club. Amazing, just the way it's run. But they're all individually owned and operated like franchises.
Okay.
So the Addison Improv is an amazing. The Denver Improv, great improv. The fucking Orlando. You wouldn't think that. The Orlando Improv, because it's on like a. You ever been in Orlando, Florida?
Yeah.
It's like, it's on that one strip. I think it's actually called Business Highway.
It might be.
It's something
Sounds
like the
familiar.
International Highway.
Yeah.
It's all just distractions. It's just like a indoor skydiving, go-kart racing, putt-putt,
Yep.
a Hooters across from a Hooters, fucking duck hunting, live duck hunting, but not really, animated live duck hunting, fucking Dave and Buster's, and then an improv.
Yeah.
And you're like, so you're shocked that anyone shows up to see the shows. But I've done that club a couple times, and it's really fucking good. They do a good job, controlling their audience.
By the way, Disney probably just bought it this morning.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it won't be cool anymore.
In a few, I can't wait till Disney and Netflix merge, and it's just they just own everything. We can't even legally call it TV or movies anymore. It's just called. Are you going to go see a Disney? No, I'm gonna sit at home and watch a Netflix. Okay, cool. But there's a moment when you're on stage at a club. So let's go somewhere in between, South Beach Improv or something, which I think is closed. But you're on stage, and you've got the audience going, and at clubs that aren't Acme or certain clubs, I find there's always a nucleus table, right? And they're always usually within sight, but there's always a table that you can see is really enjoying you, even if everyone else is not.
Okay.
Even on those weird nights.
Yeah.
And sometimes even on those great nights, you can always tell there's one table that's really, that's in you a little bit more than everyone else.
Okay.
Right? And you're like, fuck yeah. And that's your to me, that's like my pinpoint. That's like my, whenever I have to, I will play to them.
Would this be like the woman that was sitting over here last night that you called the clitoris of the
clitoris of the audience? I mean, she was. Seriously, you made her laugh and the entire area laughed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was great.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, exactly. You get a table and they're just in you, and you're like, okay, if at worst, I've got them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see the waiter bring a fucking tray of tater tachos and a chicken sandwich, and a pizza.
Oh, good, fajitas.
Exactly, and a quesadilla, and it's all lost. No matter like you as much as they can,
oh yeah,
like you as much as they do, they are now eating, And sure, they're watching, and they're trying to, like, politely laugh with their
Sure.
face fucking jammed full of melted cheese.
Oh, yeah. You
But-
can't help but be distracted.
But they're distracted, and it's like, no! You feel alone again. And you have to, like, well, rest of the audience, now you guys. And, I mean, that's only fair because you should be trying to get the entire
Sure.
audience involved. But it's like, moments like that happen at every club that serves food. And there's something I am weary of a group when they show up and order a goddamn spread at a comedy show.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Go fucking make a plan for an extra 45 minutes. Go to a
Before.
fucking Chipotle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
why? Why do you need all of this?
I agree.
Like, you understand the concept of enjoying humor is laughing. It's necessary for everyone involved. The audience, for you to enjoy it, for the comedian to fucking feel a connection, laughter, and laughter's hindered when you're just fucking slamming shit in your fucking face.
Has there ever been a medical emergency of somebody choking in this while you were on stage?
The only medical emergency I've ever experienced on stage did not involve choking. I think the guy ruptured. I think he had an appendix rupture
Oh, no.
because he was fine. He like got up and walked out, but it was very abrupt and very sudden, and everyone was just sort of like, "Whoa!" And like there was a waitress with like, at the tray, and she was like, "Excuse me." It was like a thing of like, "Oh, hey, buddy." But then I just kept performing, and then afterwards they were like, "Yeah, that guy like got out and was like, please, could you call 911, please?" And was like in pain and like grabbing his side. It was like, "Oh man, well, hopefully, I like to hope."
It was
that
laughter induced.
I'd like to hope that.
Right?
You know, if it's gonna rupture anyway,
Right.
can I just take credit? But I've had like, I've had fights break out where people entire
Fists?
Oh yeah,
Really?
entire chunks get thrown out. Entire like, they're throwing out that whole wing. Those usually happen though at like shittier clubs. Right, and I know like even great clubs like this place. I mean, I've done this place. This is my Jesus. I think this is my 8th time. But like, there's been dud audience members in here as well.
Sure.
They show up everywhere. Like they are. It's an inevitability that you're going to get 1 to 4 people minimum per show who just don't get it.
Yeah.
They never truly understand what they were signing up for. I don't know what, and it's interesting. Like, I don't know. I would actually love to do a podcast with those audience members. Start a podcast where, as people are walking out of the show, someone's out there to catch them going, "Why are you leaving?" And they
Yeah.
explain why. And you're like, "Okay, would you be willing to come back, tomorrow and do a podcast with the comedian?" Because I would like to know what people's. Because I get it. Sometimes you go and you like watch. You're like, "Oh, I don't. That bit's kind of hacky or whatever."
Sure.
I don't think he's doing a joke about how women should give hand jobs. At least if they don't, because I've heard bits like this where it's like, "Oh, if a girl doesn't drop the boyfriend bomb within the first hour, she at least owed you a hand job." And as me watching that, I'm like, "That's a fucking stupid joke. That's just ignorant." I get that.
Yeah.
But sometimes people are just like, it's almost like the idea, like the whole thing offends them. Like it's not a specific bit. It's not a specific riff or a moment with the crowd. It's like the whole idea of that person being on stage to that audience member or members is suddenly like, nope,
Yeah.
not into that. And to those people, I would just love to know, like, what were you expecting?
Now, okay, let's play this out. Let's say that does happen.
Okay.
Would you be doing that just to get the information to use it for yourself, or would you also be like, let me convince you on why you were wrong,
Both.
and give me another chance, or
Both.
give this comic another chance, or
Both.
whoever.
Yeah,
Both.
I think for the good of like the art form itself and for my own personal, just I'm like, what did you want?
Yeah.
When you were like, I'm going to go see a comedian. Like, were you hoping it would be someone famous, even though the tickets and the fucking the flyers were clearly not
Right.
anyone famous?
Yeah.
Were you?
You're not Kevin Hart.
Yeah, exactly. But even though it didn't say Kevin Hart and it didn't and the tickets were only $15, I still hoped Kevin Hart would just materialize. Did you want? Because I think some people go to you know what? In fact, I know this. I think a lot of people go to shows because they want to be quote unquote roasted.
Sure.
Like they want that. Mm-hmm. And it sucks because then it's like, no, look, I mean, I'm going to say this. I don't speak for every comedian out there, but that shit is fucking boring and not fun to do. It's not. It's interesting for about 10 minutes, and then it just becomes repetition. Okay? Because the moment you try and bring it to another level, change pace, go anywhere out, the moment you decide to get quote unquote weird with it, it's no longer a comfort zone for them. Because in that moment they're comfortable being shit on if they want that.
Yeah.
They're in this like, yes, they're the star of the night. And then it's just about them, and they're usually not that interesting of a person.
What if they try to be funny?
I mean, oh God, oh God! Did my
the
skin
pain
change
on your
color?
face.
Well, because that happens a lot. And you know what? Here's the truth. When crowd work is killing, it's mostly because the entire audience is laughing out of being uncomfortable. They don't truly find the moment where, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a nurse. Oh yeah. A gynecological nurse, or whatever fucking dumb. That was a terrible example. I'm trying to shit on crowd work, and here I am just fucking lampooning the example. But you know what I mean? Like oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from St. Paul. Yeah, I could smell it on you.
Right.
Like, is that fucking funny? No, but the audience is going to die laughing out of the moment of like, ha! It's right. It's a subconscious thing. I swear to God. Like, the audience will die laughing in those moments because they just don't want it to get awkward.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not that funny, and you don't remember it, and it's not. It belittles the art form to assume that that's the best of it. Right? Even the best quote-unquote crowd work comedians out there, the shit is by design.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And there are some, like Big J. Okerson, I think, is a pure Jedi of crowd work.
Ian Bagg.
I haven't seen Ian in a while, but yes, I remember of Ian. Same thing. But both of those guys, I mean, Jay I know more. Those are jokes he's written. He writes a lot of material, and he just frames it in a crowd work, in a casual conversational way. And to everyone watching, it looks like it's all in the moment, and it's fucking brilliant.
Yep.
You know?
Pardo's a good one too.
Pardo's a good one too, but it's like that's a crafted, honed skill. It's why they're so good at it, right? And a lot of it, if you watch their show enough, you will start to see like, oh, that's, like they know where they're going with it,
right?
But those moments where like you say something to an audience member, 5 minutes of just back and forth, huge laughs all the way around. Those are great little moments. You enjoy those. But the moment when the fucking audience member then wants to extend it throughout the entire show.
Yeah.
This is what I'm coming. Let me be clear. This is the moment I'm truly going after. I'm not shitting on the craft of crowd work itself. There is a craft involved. I'm talking about when the audience member, it's now been so much about them that they want it to stay about them.
Yeah.
And now they want to chime in.
Yeah.
And now they truly think, quote unquote, that they are helping you. And they are not. They are not helping you. You are helping them.
Yeah.
All right? You could fucking, any comedian worth their fucking, could do this night after night over and over again. This fucking person could never recreate this moment on their own.
Oh, good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very
could
good
never.
point.
You fight, it's interchangeable. Get that fucking guy out of there, put the next guy in, we could do this again. All right? Cannot happen the other way around. And it sucks. It sucks so bad because it's like, just let it go. Dude, we got through everything already. Your limp penis, your shitty job, your or even if it's other things like, oh, you're a neuroscientist. Oh, you live in a nice house. Oh, what's it like having so much money? Or whatever. Oh, you're a bachelorette.
Right.
Oh, you went to college for communications, but you're bad at communicating. Whatever the fun we had was, let it go now.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And
I want to talk about the material you're doing now.
Yeah. I mean, now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. I don't want to give anything away because people need to come see your show. I will say, how can I say this? You do a thing right now.
Yeah.
As I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you what you do.
I would love to know your opinion.
First of all, last night was hilarious.
Thank you.
As good as ever.
Thank you.
We were on the way. I came with my wife, and she asked, "Is he going to do jokes that we know?" And I went, "Whoa." Why are you asking that? Because you're like, I'm like, we can hear him twice, third time, and this still be funny. And I don't. And she goes, no, I'm right. No, you're right. I'm just curious if you know. And I don't know if you did repeat anything that I'd heard before, but
Probably.
Yeah. I didn't come to the show last year, so maybe if anything,
you son of a bitch.
I know, right?
I walk off right now. We're over, Severson.
I'll pull my calendar out and show you what I was busy with. The part of your material where you're talking about it's something that guys do during sex.
Oh yeah.
My wife was crying, wiping away tears, Sean. She was laughing so hard, which only means that she must have seen me in one of those descriptions.
Or any man. And I mean, clearly your wife's never been with any other man.
Well, no, of course.
Yeah.
Why would you even?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thanks, man. I mean, it's
crying.
Yeah,
literally wiping away tears. And I noticed it, didn't say anything during the show because I respect what's going on. But we get in the car on the way home, we start talking about it. She's like, honey, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. That's stuff.
That's a good feeling.
Yes.
Thank you. That's also, I mean, that you actually made me remember something that happened here last year, of all places right here in the front row. Because I did an earlier version of the bit last night. I have some material where I talk about Jesus.
Yeah,
right. You heard it last night.
Oh yeah.
Now last year I was doing that, and it was a far less developed version.
Okay,
but still along the same lines.
Yeah, I definitely didn't come last year. Okay,
and right here in this front row, there was a couple who the entire night, to my knowledge, had been enjoying the show, and then during that bit, she was getting to her boyfriend, getting very just like snappy and like louder and louder. And finally I gave her the floor, was like, hello. And she just let me have it because I was talking about Jesus.
No.
Right. And there was a table over here to the back left wing who had been into the show all night. A table of like 90s like roller derby style lesbians.
Okay.
Who are an almost perfect comedy audience. Something about lesbians makes their sense of humor is just better. I don't know what it is. They just...
Well, I don't know if you were paying attention, but before you came out last night, Greg Coleman called someone out in the audience that probably fit that description.
Yeah.
And she laughed really hard.
I mean, it's
really hard.
It's impressive.
And he was like, you know. And she just shook her head like, yeah, you're right.
But they were awesome. They were into the show, and they started vocally giving them shit. I was like, no, hold on. Let's hear her out.
Okay.
And she said the same thing anyone says when they get offended by Jesus material. It's basically just the fact that you are talking about Jesus. They stopped listening to what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They just know you were talking about Jesus. And we had a interaction. I was very polite about it because I truly don't believe in going down hard on anyone unless they really asked for it. Unless they really go, like I'll let them throw the first punch.
Sure.
And what she did was definitely not a punch. You know what I mean? So I heard her out. I was like, that's very I forgot exactly what I said, but I know it was something along the lines of, I respect that, but I'm still going to finish the bit. And then the audience applauded, so I knew I had them. It's like, well, now this couple's feeling awkward because their only option is leave, or just sit there and take it because they're in the front.
Yeah, we're never sitting in front again.
Yeah, and I just performed. I did the bit. I finished it, and I thought I got a good reaction, and I said goodnight. And I guarantee they never came back or went to another comedy show ever again. And Derek, the manager here, it was Derek or maybe it was Eric. I just realized that. Derek and Eric. Mm-hmm. Oh man, why aren't we animating that? But I think it was Eric, where I was like, hey, just can we watch out for that dude? Because he looked, the couple times I looked down at him, he had pure fucking blood in his eyes.
Oh no.
Yeah, he was mad.
Oh.
Not only that I was talking about his Lord and Savior.
But you were offending his gal.
But that I defended his girl and did not kowtow to her.
Yeah.
You know?
Which he probably does.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just, it was definitely Eric. I was like, can we be on the lookout for if that guy's still hanging out after the show? Because he'll throw a punch or something. But he wasn't there. But yeah, that's a sensitive religion is a sensitive ass subject.
You brought that up before that was my next question.
Yeah.
What kind of reaction you're getting from some of the religious stuff? Anybody else coming up to you like after the shows?
I mean, I've never really. Jesus is definitely like the one that, and some people just heard right then that was the end of the sentence for them.
Right.
Jesus is definitely the one. All right, turn it off. He said everything. He said the truth. Comedians do speak truth. That's what some people, holy rollers who listen to this podcast, would say. Yeah, it can be touchy, especially if you're just. But I don't think I ever like shit on Jesus. That's not my intention when I write bits about material. I try and humanize him. I try and
Oh, completely. Because I've heard it. I can say, yeah. It's very humanizing.
And that's another thing they can't fucking handle. And religion. Look, I do not like religion across the board. I just do not like it. I think if there really is out there the equivalent of a god and a devil, I think religion is the devil's masterpiece. It is a beautiful, like if there were an enemy for that sort of thing, the devil would just win it year after year. It'd be, and again, Satan for religion. It would just every fucking year sweep the belief awards because it is incredible how it divides.
Which network would host that?
The Lifetime channel, which exists, I just realized, or did. I don't know.
It does.
Yeah. But it's an amazing thing. It divides. It is a completely divisive thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I know some religions are far more chill about it, but most are like Catholicism, is Christianity. I mean, like, they do not believe that all people are created equal. And I'm sure, like, look, I've never read the Quran. Haters of Muslims, so I don't know. But I'm sure it's in there as well. Like, but it all, to my knowledge, every religion has a this is why those people are bad in there. And it's not, that's fucking insane. And like this is why your God is the only God and all other gods are a lie. And like it just divides all these people who are seeking the same fucking thing, right? A reason, something to believe in. They all, whether it be a Muslim, a Christian, a fucking Hasidic Jew,
Scientologist,
even you could say the hardcore ones that really believe that bullshit.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. They all Lutheran. They all want to believe in a higher power for guidance and to be better people. Yet they all hate one another or just don't acknowledge one another because their religions tell them that they're all wrong.
Right.
Or the other ones are wrong. I mean, I'm talking devil. If you exist and you wrote that shit is good. It's The Wire. It's like it's fucking beautiful. And
stands out its own.
It's just it's timeless. It holds up.
Do you notice a difference in like this area versus the South? Like where you're from?
What's interesting is parts of the South I think are becoming more progressive than the rest of the country. It's crazy to say that out loud, but
especially
it's true.
this week.
Especially this week, but look what happened.
Hey,
huh? No,
worked out.
But like a city like Atlanta, I feel you're going to actually find more progressive-minded people in Atlanta than you will, say, San Francisco. Now, right?
Huh.
Because I believe that, like, while there definitely is a progressive presence, of course, in the Bay Area, there are also people who are so entrenched in the politically correct mindset that they've flipped over on themselves and become conservative again. The kind of people who say shit like, I don't see color. Like that in itself is a racist statement.
Yeah.
It is an ignorance thing to say out loud and to adhere to. Right? In a city like Atlanta...
Some of my best friends have no color.
Exactly. Some of my best friends are albinos.
Exactly.
But in a city like Atlanta, which is in Georgia, which is not the most progressive-minded fucking state, Atlanta is a beautiful, brilliant, gay, black, multicultural mecca. New Orleans, my hometown, same exact fucking thing. Louisiana is mostly garbage. New Orleans is the last European city left in the United States.
Okay.
It is beautiful. It is open. It is very progressive-minded. It is a very real place. But both of those cities I just named, you drive half an hour outside of, and oh, fuck. You know, a place like San Francisco, for example, you still are in California. So that's kind of what
Sure.
it has going for it. But, I mean, the Midwest up here, I find is one of the more, maybe it's proximity that does it. I'm not sure, but you guys are a lot like Canadians. And I find Canadians in general to be the most tolerant audience thus far that I've ever performed for.
No. They're taking after us.
Yeah, okay, that's what
Minnesotans,
it is. Yes.
specifically.
Minnesotans, yeah. But no, the Midwest, like, I find the Midwest to be a very, like, with the, you know, there's some exceptions to watch tonight. I'm going to get fucking chased off stage by fucking, you don't talk about Jesus or sex. None of these things these are not good. I'm going to get arrested tonight, like Lenny Bruce style.
You're right.
Like, what the fuck? But I find the Midwest, generally, people are like a little more, I mean, I've said this before, but like, I really do believe that because most of the Midwest is a frozen tundra half the year, people who live here are forced to be, you're inside a lot more, so you develop personalities, right? Mm-hmm. And you read books, and you sort of like, you know, I guarantee the intellect overall of your average, the IQ level of your average Midwesterner versus like your average Southern Californian, and I'm not saying they're fucking idiots in Southern California. I'm saying they're outdoor people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not, once again, not saying outdoor people are stupid. I'm saying you don't read as many books. That's all I'm saying. And I'm, once again, by books, no. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like here people are like, you develop personalities, and you read, and you see what else is going on.
We read our books outside here.
Yeah, exactly. And so the audiences in the Midwest, I find are a little more open than most of the country.
Yeah.
Because even on like the East, I mean, New York is fucking great, and the cities on the East Coast are. I actually think like Boston, D.C., Philly, you know, New York gets all the attention on the East Coast,
right?
And it's a great city, but those are also awesome cities, and the cities are fucking great. But you get in like certain parts of like New England, and it's like, oh, I might as well be in like a storybook version of Mississippi. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking white. Like, Connecticut is the Mississippi of New England.
Okay.
It's just fucking, it's either rich white people or poor white trash. It is the same fucking thing in both states.
Sure, I get it.
You know? And yeah, they're in the city parts, there's black people, but I guarantee they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know? But like, there are, you know, I guess my point is, I'm sorry, I'm rambling now, but I don't think ignorance is corralled in one specific area anymore. Sure. Because it also takes all forms. It also takes all
Twitter
forms.
shows us that ignorance happens everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Or just social media in general. But yeah.
Because even like in a city like Portland, Oregon, you'll have, you know, supremely open-minded, progressive-minded audiences and comedians and great. You also have people who don't understand what being a progressive is, don't understand what being open-minded is, and if they hear anything resembling a short list of buzzwords on that buzzword list, they shut down.
Yeah.
And they cease to listen.
The buzzwords.
And they get angry. And it's like, that is ignorant.
Yeah.
You know, you claim you are smarter, and by moving to this city, and we don't even have to leave it in Portland. We can say Austin. We can say, you know, numerous cities.
Sure.
By moving to one of these cities, you think you're joining some fucking think tank, but prove it. And part of proving it is listening, hearing the other person out, buzzwords and all.
Yeah.
And like, you get it, you know, so you're not safe from it anywhere.
No.
Because you'll get to fucking like Birmingham, Alabama, and you'll go up at it. I did a show in Birmingham, Alabama, at this place called the Syndicate Lounge, and I'll put that audience up against audiences in New York, L.A., Chicago, even. You know, like that was just like. You know, it's because they don't have a progressive culture necessarily, so they bind together, and like it's a strong group that like goes to this one venue. You know what I'm saying?
Good,
so it's like you've got more of that happening in the South now, because everywhere else is like, nah, we're cool. We've proven that we're open minded, so we don't even need to try anymore.
Gotcha.
It's like no, you got to stay trying for the rest of your lives.
Uh-huh.
It's a lifetime commitment. Anyway, so.
I want to say you when you mentioned Portland, you just brought something up in my jogs.
Great comedy club there, by the way, Helium Comedy Club, great one. Yeah.
Last time you were here was with Rojo.
Rojo, yeah.
And we don't. I don't want you to retell the story. I'm just going to give just people, if they want to go back to the last time you were here, episode 225.
Is that what it was?
You told a story.
Yeah.
With you and Rojo about a comedy club in Portland where he had to console you. Remember that?
Oh no, it was a comedy festival.
A comedy festival.
Yeah.
But it was in Portland, correct?
It was in Portland. It
Yes.
was drunk comedy. It was a Bridgetown Comedy Festival. I did a show. And it was a good. It was a good show I was on, and it's in my opinion, I bombed hard, and I hadn't drank in like a few months at that point, just for no other reason than just to see if I could do it. And that sent me spiraling off the wagon, and I got wasted. And at the after party, ended up in the fucking stall with Rojo because he followed me in there because he was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Nothing." And he was like, "Dude, no, seriously." And I fucking cried on his shoulder because I bombed at a show where no one gave a shit. No one will ever remember that 10-minute set or that show or that venue. But
how is Rojo? He's not here with you this week.
No, he's not here this year. He's somewhere this week. I forgot where. That's why he's not here. He had prior engagements. He's doing good, man.
Good.
Had his first TV spot. He did Conan.
Oh yeah,
like 2 months, 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's right. I want to know how you're still living in New York.
I am, yeah.
How are things there?
I mean, I love it. I mean, it's hard to live anywhere else if you're a comic. If you really love the craft of comedy.
Okay.
Like it's just the best city to do comedy in. No, I've never lived in Japan, so I don't know. I find people like to come at you with that, where I'm like, New York's the best comedy city. Like, I don't know, man. Kuala Lumpur. There's a great comedy scene. You get this, believe you me, you get this sort of shit on Twitter. Oh, man, I just think, I'll tweet, did a show tonight, New York's the best. People are like, I don't know, man, you clearly never done comedy in, fucking Copenhagen. And I'm like, well, I would love to. And I actually am, in May. But,
there you go.
But, New York, it's just so fucking great, man. I love you've got to love New York City to live there. I admit that you've got to love it. It's an acquired taste, It's the I was just talking about this earlier. Ludfish, is that a thing? Ludfish?
Oh,
no?
Lutefisk?
Yeah, it's the lutefisk of cities. You've got to really love, what is it? Salty fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soaked in, what is lye?
Lye, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I just heard about it. Sounds fucking delicious. But I'm like a fish.
It's not delicious.
No?
I've had it.
It's disgusting?
It's pretty disgusting.
All right, so maybe not the lutefisk.
It's worth trying to say you
I'll
did.
give it a try. But no, it's like, you have to like that lifestyle. You have to like, I don't give a shit about, you hear when people move. It's really funny, and I'm going to throw this out there, and this is definitely going to piss some people up, whatever. Whenever the conversation breaks out between L.A. and New York people, it is always motherfucking L.A. people who start it. Always. It is always, 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 always.
Okay.
It is, and it's always some subtle like, oh yeah, sorry, we're not New York, you can't get a bagel, or it's always some like slimy, fucking underhanded.
And why is that?
Because I think that people move to L.A. and a lot of people have to delude themselves into believing it's a real fucking life. Okay? For some people it is. But you have to be real goddamn successful, I think. Because I think if you're in like the middle class of life in L.A., it's hard. I
just read an article on Business Insider, I think it was, about all the homeless people, 250,000 homeless people in one of the cities there. They followed a college professor. Yeah. From the car that she lives in. They had pictures of her correcting papers sitting in her car that she sleeps in. Yeah. And then to her teaching job at a university. Makes sense.
I mean, look, LA has its wonderful things about it. It really does. Great, it does, great comedy scene in LA, great comics out there. It is beautiful. Certain neighborhoods are amazing, but like you're disconnected in LA. And some people like that. And those people are generally super successful. They own a home in the Los Feliz Hills. They're famous, so they can't be around people all the time. It actually makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
But I just don't think it's a better lifestyle just because you have a yard.
Right.
I think like in New York, there's like, yeah, you get fucking angry and like, God damn it, shut the fuck up, move. But there's a tolerance level you develop being constantly around other people.
What's your place like in New York?
I live in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, a neighborhood that, 10 years ago, I've just heard this so many times. 10 years ago, I would never have set foot on my block specifically.
Okay.
It's a great neighborhood because it isn't ever going to be like gentrified the way Williamsburg, Brooklyn was.
Okay.
Where it's like now just yuppie town central. It's still got it. It still has its like rough around the edges element to it, which I love.
Yeah.
But it's Brooklyn. You know, it's like you walk one block. It's liquor stores and like Eastern African or Western African restaurants that are only open for 2 hours a day. Old school Italian pizza joints that it seems like no one's ever in there, yet they are been open since 1952.
Right.
You're like, how? And then the next block, it's like artisanal, cookie. It's an artisanal cookie stand.
Sure.
And like, lobster rolls. Organic lobster rolls.
Just as long as it doesn't turn into all lobster roll businesses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like bars, a lot of bars. Then, excuse me. But I mean, like, I'm a 10-minute walk to the Q train, which I take to go to the stand.
Because you have no car.
And you don't need a car. You just don't need a car. And you can have a car. Some people do. But like, I love the public transportation element. I love the subways. And like, I love doing 4 to 5 spots a night. Like real spots, not open mics, like real shows with real audience. And the train, you could take it or you can walk everywhere. You can fucking walk, And like even during the winter, when I landed here yesterday, or the day before yesterday, it was 6 degrees, right?
Welcome.
It never gets that cold in New York. It gets cold, but a cold where you could still walk around, and not feel like here where it's like, I think my spleen is cold.
Yeah.
I experienced that yesterday where I'm like, I feel like my lungs are cold. Like, not because I'm breathing in cold air. Like, my lungs are actually shivering.
You're freezing from the inside out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, New York, it's, it gets cold, but it's like a warm, wet cold, if that makes sense. But you just fucking walk everywhere and you do all these spots and you work out material and you get better and, like, you just ham it up with other comics. And it's like, those are just the nights, man. Those are, like, something I hope never, and I get some people were never that into it, so they don't love what I'm about to say. But like, those nights where you're doing 4 or 5 spots, and like you and a couple of comics, duck off between spots to grab food, or you're at one of the clubs and you're having a drink, or there's 4 of you and you all just did all your spots, and now you're hanging out at a bar or at a restaurant or at the club still just talking shop and like really getting into it, and that goes on for a few more hours, and you've alienated everyone around you because people want to come up and say good set and hang out or whatever, but you're like, yeah, but you're just so into like the shop talk and you're just in this world, and you're like, people are like, oh man, you're so lucky you don't have to wake up tomorrow and go to work. And it's like, yeah, but I work harder at what I do than you do at what you do. Doesn't matter that I don't have to there's no schedule except for my spot times, but like, believe me, it actually annoys me when comedians there's a thing, a joke that a lot of comedians use. It's not like stealing, but it's that whole like, I only work an hour a night or whatever it is. It's like
6 hours a week.
Exactly. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You and I both. If you really only work that much, you're probably a shit comedian. That's probably your best joke. Is the joke about how you don't work. Because you work fucking. It may not be. Maybe you can't quantify it in hours, but it's in fucking life. And you definitely work more and harder, and it's fucking good. But then you talk about that, and you're in it, and you're just, and it's such a great. And you get home at 3 a.m, and you've, the bit you had yesterday that wasn't working because you did the sets now works, and you're excited about that, and you're going to do this guy's podcast tomorrow, and you're going to do this other comedian are going to do, hey, you want to go do this show with me, in fucking Long Island next week, like, yeah, and you're just, it's just this life of just being in it, just being around other comedians.
Jesus, you could be a salesman for comics in New York.
I'm telling you, it's just like, and everyone's so good. That's the beauty of that comedy scene. Is it's someone you quit paying attention to, or all of us, someone who like you just know is like another comedian, and just like for a year or two they're just kind of around, and then all of a sudden they go up there and they do their set and it fucking blows the room in half. And you're watching this and you're like, holy shit. And you're like, oh, this is why you haven't heard much about them for the past few years.
Yeah.
They've been in the lab. grinding this out, and now look at them.
Yeah.
And then the next year, they're just getting better and better and better, and bam, and they're fucking exploding. It's like, there's a reason why it's always New York comedians, mostly, who go to other, when you look at who's big in L.A. right now, it's mostly comedians from New York or other cities. You know what I mean? And there are some fantastic L.A. comedians. Do not get me wrong.
Who claims Tiffany Haddish?
I think she might be in L.A. I'm not sure. Or maybe, I want to say North Carolina.
Okay.
I don't know why. Gerard Carmichael's from North Carolina, too. And no, I'm not just saying that because you're both black. Jesus Christ. I can hear. I can hear
all the people just logging into Twitter. This mother.
I can hear the fucking white guilt. Fuckers. Just get off on that. But I'm not. But I mean, like, with the exception of like, I mean, there's a large couple handfuls of L.A. born and bred comedians who are great.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, it's a ton of fucking. It's people who come from New York or Chicago, or like Atlanta, or like other great comedy cities. But like, I really, fucking, it's the best place if you really care about just the pure art form of stand-up.
Nice.
It is. You're not going to beat it.
I'm looking at the time here.
Yeah,
we've been going a while. I just want to a couple things I really want to get to though.
Please.
One of them,
Yeah.
I'm very curious about your reaction to this. You did the show, that Best Bars in America show, a few years ago, and on this podcast I brought up once about Nye's Polonaise Room, and you were like, "Fuck that place, it fucking sucks."
Yeah, it's gone, right?
It's coming back.
Where? Really?
Same spot. Like in 2 months, it's opening back up.
I thought they built like condos or some shit there.
Over part of the spot, and part of the spot is remaining, and opening back up is nice.
Well, good. I hope they sell shitty old fashions. And have the one bartender was a nice guy. I felt bad for him. I just felt like we went in there and it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I asked for like a whiskey neat, and you gave me a fucking Jack and Coke. You know what I mean? Like it was. Maybe it'll be better though, because I know it's a historic, nice Polonaise, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're like, the food. It's like, the food. It's food. I remember that. It's like, this is definitely food.
Yeah.
But that could be. You say that about numerous. That happens. Shit gets overhyped.
Sure.
And you actually try it, and you're like, okay, this is the ambiance, not the actual product.
Yeah.
Well, good for Nays. We drove past that today on the way to radio earlier, and it was
okay.
That was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You were the first person I thought of when they announced it was coming back.
Well, not if I have anything to do with it. No, I'm kidding.
We wish them well, right?
We wish you very well, yeah.
And then a few more things here. Acting. Have you done any more acting recently? Still coming out, or you got something anything scheduled?
Like it's very still paying my SAG dues, if that helps. Wait, shit! I just realized I'm delinquent or I'm late. I didn't pay December yet. Anyway, so unions, man, they're great when you're fucking flush, and when you're not working, it's like, what's okay? You still want money? Okay. I mean, I'm trying. I'm auditioning for stuff. It's a tough sell, man. I unfortunately have a very common look. You know what I mean? Like I really do.
You got the beard going these days.
I do have the beard going, but even when I shave it off, it's like there are half a dozen people, guys, actors who've been doing it longer than me, who like, why would we need? Well, there's another rotund, sort of ethnically ambiguous guy. We got 5 of those already with credits. So it's like, I'm trying. I'm auditioning. I have new. Left my old agents. I have new agents now. It's pushing for it, but we'll see. I mean, right now the only it's as it's been for the past few years. The only thing I have is this, and I'm extremely grateful for it.
Hell yeah,
I'm fucking extremely grateful for it, and I love it. And it's like this is you start to get to a point where you're like, well, if this is all it is, then fucking A, I'll make it the best version of this.
Yeah.
That I could possibly can, and I have but I don't really think it will be. But it's also a thing of like, because I think a lot of people get into stand up, and they may not say it out loud openly, but like they always intended to move on to something else.
Yeah.
To acting, just acting, or just writing. I could name half a dozen people off the top of my head who've done that. Who I remember 10 years ago, we're in the open mics together.
Okay.
And now we're like either only writing for TV shows or only acting in TV shows. And that's great. But whether or not I get booked in something act-wise or write for something, I'll never stop doing this.
Right
I
on.
never intended to. This was always like going to be the core thing for me. You know what I mean? This was always going to be like the main squeeze. So this was always going to be my lifeblood. So there you go.
Gotcha. And then final thing I want to ask, recordings. Anything planned?
I am really, really pushing to sell an hour that I did in Edinburgh this past year, that I did here last year, a different hour. Really trying to sell that shit.
Yeah, we talked about it in the last podcast.
Yeah, it's exactly. So it's been over a year, and it's still
okay.
It's still just, wow, it's hard, especially because Netflix is trying to destroy stand-up. I think by putting too much of it out there.
It's a bad thing to you, huh?
I don't think it helps. I think like at a certain, you start to like, it should be a special thing. Special should be special, and it should be hard. In fact, what I'm going through should be the norm. It should be a hard thing.
Gotcha.
They shouldn't just give specials out to famous
There needs to be a new name, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but they shouldn't just be hemorrhaging $50 million on one comedian's 2 specials. I'm sorry, that's just, come on, that's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, use that money to really cultivate comedians who like are actually creating stuff and not just hiring groups of younger comics to write their material for them or to like punch up their jokes.
Uh-huh.
That happens.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. You get to a certain point and you're selling tickets and you could pay these younger comedians to write the jokes. I get it. It's all fair. I'm not taking shots at the actual artists themselves. I'm saying it's just Netflix can make, it's not like it does. I mean, there's plenty of examples of this, and I know we don't have time to go into it, but like, they can make you or break you. It's not like, well, people aren't going to watch specials unless we have, 5 Chris Rock specials coming out. Then otherwise people won't watch stand-up on the show. It's like,
right.
I don't believe that.
Right.
Your Netflix, people will watch what you put up if you put it up. They'll be like, well, I got to check this out. It's on the queue.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Segura, prime example. They took a fucking shot with that guy.
Yes.
Now he's
I'm glad you said that. That's the name that popped into my head, actually.
And he's awesome.
Yes.
And it's because he's gotten the exposure and the now fame, of relative fame of being a Netflix special comedian. It's like they took a risk on him, and it paid off.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone will go, well, what about this person? I doubt it. How many of those are there truly?
Yeah.
That you gave someone a special, and it just kind of tanked. But now they're just, I mean, you hear this shit all the time where it's like they're putting out, 50 a special a week in 2018. It's like, that's a lot. And now they're doing the half hours. And now they're doing the quarter hours.
That's right.
So it's like, at a certain point, it's like, now you don't, nothing has to be earned. You just have to get to a certain point. It's like, well, now you're ready for your quarter hour. It's like, no, you should have to fucking earn that quarter hour. It should be a thing that people push themselves to create great material for. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm only saying that because I come from a time when no one gave a shit. So it could be a good thing. It could be the thing that propels stand-up to a bigger level, all this exposure.
Yeah, well, just real quickly, like that, like a year ago, we were mentioning CISO as a place that's special, and now it's gone. So
had a TV show sold
to CISO? No shit.
Yeah. It was a bad month. It was like we went through all the protocol.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was all like, all right, a couple more things, and then we're gonna start talking about pre-production. And then this guy I wrote the show with texted me and was like, "Have you seen that the head of CISO just left?" I was like, "Oh, that's probably not that big of a deal, right?" And then all of a sudden, hey, we haven't heard from him in a week, and my manager's like, "Yeah, that's kind of strange." And then now 2 weeks, and okay, now they're saying they're just kind of pausing to regroup, and okay, now they're saying the regrouping's taking a little bit, and then it was just like, and it's over.
Yeah. Oh no.
But
that happens.
That's corporate fucking greed right there, man.
Yeah.
Like they should have given CISO. I mean, CISO. I loved everything about CISO because they were actually taking. I hated their graphic design and their marketing. I thought their marketing was stupid, and I thought their like blue-gray colors were dumb. But I thought they were putting out a lot of like original good shit.
Yeah, I subscribed. I watched quite a bit.
They were taking risks, and they were backed by motherfucking NBC Universal, who has money to hemorrhage. They have money to hemorrhage for a couple of years until the fucking CISO, and then in 5 years could have been this great thing
where they could sell it to Disney.
Yeah, and then Disney buys it, and it's like, are you going to Disney or are you going to Netflix? No, I'm going to CISO. It could have been one of the three.
Exactly.
It could have been one of the three.
Sean, thank you. I could talk to you for so much longer, but we got other stuff to do.
I do.
We got other stuff to do. So thank you. People come see the shows. Check for tickets as soon as possible. Come see Sean and Greg Coleman and Chloe Radcliffe all working with you this week.
If I were a gay man, it would be the perfect PC lineup.
Right.
You know, I might try and just change. Like, you know what, I'm gonna. If gay were a choice, I would choose it right now, just for the fucking society's sake. You know.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Justin.
Thanks, Sean.